Fix-It Tony here. Thanks for clicking on the video. So we actually just did an oil change on this one, but we're also going to get down here. We're going to service the transmission. We're going to do two things. We're going to replace our filter, and we are also going to do 100% flush on this. Not, you don't have to do them, but I recommend doing them on older cars. This car is an 09. The fluid is 15 years old. I don't care what the manufacturer says. There is breakdown when you get that old. So what we're going to do, we're going to start by getting this pan off. And to do that, we're going to take this front shield off. It's just some 10 millimeters and a connector here. And then we can get in here and get all our bolts off and drain her off. And then we can replace our filter and our gasket, and we'll top her off, and then we'll get her ready for the 100% flush. All right, to get started, we're just going to let it drain for a little bit, just so that we're not dealing with so much fluid. And this is, again, the overflow, so it's not going to pour everything out, but it'll be less fluid than that we have to deal with later. Okay, so we got our cover off here in the front. So now we have our access we need. We need access to two things. One is take this pan off, and then we need access to this incoming tube. And this is the flows going this way. So it's coming out of the transmission, going into the cooler, coming out and going this way. So we're going to intercept it here when we do the flush. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and get all these 10 millimeters off and go ahead and take this oil transmission pan loose. Okay, so we got the pan off. We have our filter here. We're going to remove the 10 millimeters that hold the filter element on. We're going to take that off. We have the pan here. Use a large drain pan, and you can see there's a fill tube in there. That actually comes out with a 6 or an 8 millimeter. I didn't do that. It's not required when you're draining, because you're dropping the pan anyway. But if you're doing a drain and fill, you do have to remove that, and then you have to reinstall it very gently. Don't be crazy about it. And then we're going to go ahead and replace this filter here. And then when we're done doing that, we're going to go ahead and go to the fill plug, which is going to be on the upper side here, and we're going to add 4 quarts, put it through the gears, and verify our fluid levels where it belongs. It doesn't have to be perfect, because we are going to do a flush after that, and then we're going to have to re-verify our fluid level again. All right, so like I said, we're going to pull this filter down. This is our replacement. It's a Beck and Arnie. Get them on Rock Auto, a lot less expensive, but the same basic thing that you're going to get from Denso. Just make sure that your O-ring here comes out when you do this, so you don't double gasket it on accident. So we're going to pull this down, push this one in, put a little flow of transmission fluid in it, and we'll bolt this one up and get ready for the next step. All right, so we wipe down the pan, clean the magnets again. Just put the magnets back where you found them. Very, very easy. Put the new gasket in, make sure the surface is clean. We just started the screws. Just barely push them in there. You don't have to push them all the way through, because you're going to work your way around to get them in there. I think it's 108 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. I usually do these to 120, because every time I've done 108, it's never enough. Anyway, right up here, you can see that we have the new filter in. A little bit of dust got in here, so we're going to wipe it down with a really clean rag. We'll put the pan in, torque all the bolts up, and then we'll get ready to fill her up with 4 quarts of ATF. So we had the pan on here. We went and torqued down again to about 115, 120 inch-pounds. You can do the 108 if you want, but I put a little more in these because I've had bad luck with them. In any case, we have our 24 millimeter up here, and this is the WS. It just tells you what kind of fluid you need, 20 WS or equivalent. And we'll go ahead and fill it. We're actually going to put 3.5 quarts in there, and that's only because we're going to do the flush. And last time we did the flush, it tends to overfill this a little bit during the flush, and you have to drain more out. So we're just going to start with 3.5, put it through the gears, and then we'll start the flush. So this is the fluid we've been using. We got it in Rock Auto's cheapest place to get it. Works fantastic. Of course, you got to make sure it's the LV version, because that's what the WS is a low viscosity fluid. I put it in my LS460. It's just way smoother, very nice quality fluid. We're going to go ahead and fill up our pressurized tank here, just below 4 liters, and run it all the way down till there's just a little bit left. Don't let it blow air in there, because otherwise it blows bubbles, and we don't want that in the transmission. So we're going to pressurize this tank, put the tool on it, and put it in the fill hole and get her topped off. Okay, so we have the transmission pan in. We have everything done. We added fluid, 3.5 quarts. So go ahead and start the vehicle and put it through the gears. Go ahead and start. Now what we're doing is putting it through each gear for a few seconds here. And what this allows us to do is get the fluid moving, get the air bubbles out, and then we're going to pull the plug and make sure we're topped off, because again, this transmission is cold, it's not warmed up, so no fluid should be coming out. If a little bit comes out, then we're right about where we need to be, because we still do need to do the flush here in a minute. All right, so we're back in park here, so we're going to take the fill check off here and see where we're at. A little bit of fluid should come out. Yeah, see, there's just a spatter, so we're right where we need to be. We don't want to add extra fluid because in the fluid transfer, a lot of times it adds fluid already a little too much. So I don't want to lose a lot because we're just going to have it up here just going through the gears. So we don't have to worry about it causing any damage. So right now we're just went ahead and put that on finger tight. And then we're going to take our lines loose and we'll start working on the next step. So we have our fluid exchanger here from Vevor. If you want to watch my previous video, it'll be in the description how this thing works. But you basically are taking new fluid from here and putting in the transmission. Old fluid comes out to the cooler line and ends up in here. So this is not full yet. So what we're going to do, because I left a little bit of the WS fluid in here, is I'm going to go ahead and put another 10 quarts in here. That'll bring us roughly to about 15 quarts, and that's about all that takes to do this flush. So I'm gonna go ahead and top this side off, then we'll prime the lines, hook them up, and we'll go ahead and run the car, go through the gears, and we'll watch these two bad boys right here. Well, first off, make sure our pressure doesn't go out of whack, because if it does, we can regulate that, which we're not, just keep an eye on that. And then also we'll be able to see when the used fluid comes out and changes color to more of a pinkish color, then we'll know we're done. So we're going to start and get some fluid added to it, and then we'll take it out to the car. Okay, so what you want to do is go ahead and hook your battery. Just hook it to your positive and negative terminal on your battery. And then you want to see what hose you're going to use for the return line, which is going to be out to vehicle, which is going to be your blue line. And then you want to purge it. So by purging it, what you're going to do is turn it on, and stop button's on this. So what we want to do is we want the fluid to start flowing. Well, this is just continuing it back into it until it flows. We see it flowing, right? So we got all the air out of the system. So once that's done, now I can hook this to the return line. We don't have air in the system. Okay, so we have it worked out. Again, we have the outline, which is coming out of the transmission, and that's going to our tank, and that'll be draining out. And then we have our inline, which is here, which is going to pump the new fluid back in. Always use hose clamps on these. I had a friend who didn't use them, and then the one time he thought it was fine. He was in the car, it blew off the line, blew 6 quarts of transmission fluid over the floor in a matter of 30 seconds it took him to get out of the car, and made a huge mess. And you just don't want to end up the situation. Take the extra 2 seconds, put the hose clamps on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start the vehicle. We're going to verify the fluid is flowing the correct direction, and then we're going to start the pump and send the fluid back in to fill up the transmission as it's running. And we're going to go through the gears as we do this. So we'll get this started here in a moment. And this is why we verify things, because the person online said that it flowed the other way. Of course, this is what I get for listening to people online. It actually flows the opposite way. So fluid's coming out of here and going in through here. So this is actually the return line when they said it was supposed to be the other way around. Anyway, now we can go ahead and get this going, but that's why you want to test it first. So it took about a minute and a half. About 3 or 4 minutes. We let it flush out. Again, this is orientation. This one all the way to the driver's side. This is your fluid out. Your fluid in is going to be the one heading back into the transmission here. Some of the diagrams online are not correct, so you always want to verify that. Second thing is you want to make sure this valve is open so that the old fluid's coming back in and dumping in. As you can see, we flushed out all the way to the top. Oh wow, we were almost full. We flushed out about a little over almost 12 quarts here, because we had to convert it from liters. We're almost empty here on this side. And the fluid is spot on for both sides, so we're good to go. So now what we're going to do is disconnect, and we're going to verify to see where we are fluid level wise. Okay, we re-hooked up our lines here, and again, just make sure you put your hose clamp back on. And then what I like to do is go ahead, because the transmission is still cold, this tends to like to overfill it, so I already guarantee we're probably going to lose a bit of fluid here just doing this. So the fluid is not even near 100 degrees. So I'm gonna let this drain out, because we're definitely over full a bit until it gets to a trickle. Then we'll warm her up and go through the cycle of making sure she's stopped. So what we're gonna do now is we let her drain until it was leveled off. Now we're gonna put her through the gears. Sorry, there's a helicopter flying over. We're gonna put her through the gears. We're gonna put her back in park. She's currently right about 105 degrees according to the OBD2. You need to have a diagnostic that can give you the temperature of the transmission, otherwise you're not going to be able to check this correctly. Let me know when you're in park. Park. Okay, so now we're in park. Again, we only have this hand tight, so we can do this. It should just be a trickle. If it's a trickle, we're right where we need to be. And we don't have any coming out. So we're gonna probably have to add, maybe a little too much came out. Not a big deal. We'll add a little bit more. And then we'll do the same thing again. So we add a little more fluid, put the drain plug, the fill plug back in. Now we're gonna put it back through the gears again. She's still about a little over 100 degrees. So we should get a little bit of fluid coming out of this hole now. We were probably just a touch over. Under, sorry. And this is why you gotta be very particular about the way you do this, because sometimes it seems like that's too much, sometimes it seems like that's not enough. It's very, very important. Are we back in park? Okay. We'll go ahead and pull our plug here and take a look and see where we're at now. Still just a little bit, nothing crazy. So we'll add this a little bit more. All right, so you went ahead and added another quart. Again, the lesson to be learned here is don't drain this unless the engine's running in park. I think that's the mistake I made with this one. So we're gonna go ahead and check and see where we are now. And we're flowing pretty decent. The fluid is right about the temperature it needs to be. So we're a little over full. We'll give her a second. We'll let her, so she doesn't pour so much. We're about 100 degrees, a little over full, so we'll let her flow out a little bit until she stops. We're probably about a half quart too much, roughly. You can see it starting to get there, and that's what you want to see, a little just a little bit of dribble right there. That's what we want to be. So we're going to go ahead and stop there. Cool, and we're good to go. So we verified our fluid at cold at the proper level, so we're good to go there. So we can start reassembly. I didn't show you when I did this, but there's a little shield that goes right here that covers where your drain plug is, your fill plug is. So you definitely want to remove that. Also, these little push pins that you use to get it out, you push it in to pull it out. So don't try to rip this out. You actually got to push it all the way in, and then you reset it. You pull it out like this so you can put it back in, and then push it so it's flush. But these types, you push them in, and that's what allows you to remove them. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna put our shield back in here, which is just the little, I always put these back in. This one's a little different. This one you gotta pull out. And then you got some 10 millimeters right in here. We'll reassemble, get her on the ground. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go for a quick test drive, put it through the gears, make sure nothing abnormal is happening. Don't expect anything. You can see my tire light is on. We actually just bought this car not too long ago, and these batteries go dead in the TPMS sensors, and people just don't want to pay to get them replaced. Even though it's super cheap, you can buy them on Amazon for 30 bucks. But we just go ahead and put her through our gears, let the transmission warm up. We got buttery smooth shifts so far, so feeling good about it. Again, if you have any questions or comments or anything about what you've seen on any of my videos, please don't hesitate to put a comment in. I'm happy. The good and the bad, the indifferent. I pretty much get a little bit of everything, mostly positive, and I appreciate you guys. And some people who, whatever, they want to argue about stuff, but that's all good. I want to hear it all. So we're feeling good. Transmission shifting nicely. So I think we're done here. I'll have description for the Vevor machine and everything you've seen, every tool you've seen, and in the description here for you guys. So if you want to take a look, that's where that will be. And just know, one note that I kind of goofed up on, and just a mental misthought was when you're checking the fluid level, the engine needs to be on before you remove that fill plug, and I totally forgot about that. So you do want to make sure your engine's running, and you want to make sure between like 105 and 113 degrees, and you can use your tool. And I'll also put in the description the Think Diag, because it's the best tool in the market that uses your smartphone as your OBD2, and you can go through and you can search to find the monitor so you can see what the temperature is of the transmission when you check it, and again, make sure it's in park and the engine is running when you do that. So thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. The channel's over 2,000 people already, and we have somebody decided to cross the street. That's always fun. Not like there's a crosswalk there or anything. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you on the next one.